Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Jack Chambers, you're sharing your time, Deputy. I think, are you? Deputy Butler, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I think, well, it's welcome to have heard many of the speeches from people from around the country and how their communities have been affected, and it's clearly an urban and a rural problem. But we've had a normalisation of crime in what is a two-tier Ireland. And in my own constituency during the campaign, we had 3 canvas teams, Fianna Fáil, the Green Party and Fine Gael, all collecting and coming together at a shopping centre. And 2 burglars arrived, did an armed robbery on a shop, arrived with a machete and various weapons, and did it without any fear, and in the full knowledge that they wouldn't be caught at the time. And what happened was, when one of the canvassers tried to call the Gardaí, it took him 10 minutes to actually get through to 999. So if that's the initial interaction with our crime force, and we can't actually make the call, how do we expect the response time and the detection rate to improve if we can't actually get through to our emergency services? And that's a key issue for me. My own constituency of Dublin West had the highest number of burglaries and related crimes in the country last year. There were more burglaries in Dublin West than in Donegal, Cavan, Monaghan, Sligo, Leitrim, Mayo, Roscommon, Longford and Clare combined. Now, that shows the level of crime that we have in urban Ireland, but I recognise that this isn't in any particular constituency, that any one person who's terrorised in their home or elsewhere needs to be recognised, and this problem needs resourcing throughout the country. It is too hard to pass off as a coincidence that this spike in crime has coincided with Garda numbers decreasing by almost 17% in the Dublin West constituency in the period of 2010 to 2015. It was disheartening to see the Minister try and spin the crime figures released by the CSO in March. She chose to focus on the positive. In her statement, she said it was clear initiatives introduced by her had led to a reduction in burglaries. But this ignored the fact that burglaries actually rose in the final quarter of the year when the new and much heralded Operation Thor was up and running. There was also no explanation as to why sexual assaults were up. Indeed, the figures show one person is raped in Ireland every day. This is a national scandal. And we've also seen in today's papers of someone in this city who was assaulted on the streets, a son of Professor Cusack in Cork, assaulted on the streets, and he's disfigured because of it. And that's a normalisation of crime and attack in our communities. That's mentioned every day in our papers. And as a Parliament and as a Dáil, we need to tackle it properly and prudently. And that means resourcing our Gardaí, improving our numbers. And I know Deputy Collins from my own party mentioned earlier that there's 1,500 Gardaí scheduled to retire this year if they were all to retire. Now, they probably won't all retire. But if there was a reduction of 1,500, how do we expect even our current recruitment campaign to match the target of 15,000? And we need to have a collective argument on how we are going to ensure that we have a greater intensification of recruitment to resource our Gardaí. The recent spate of gangland killings, some of which would seem more fitting to a Hollywood film than in Ireland in 2016, show crime is a national problem and one that requires a national, joined-up thinking approach. Figures from the Department of Justice show, as I said, that up to 1,500 Gardaí, including some of the force's most senior and experienced officers, are eligible to retire. The closure of 139 Garda stations by the outgoing government coincided with the force being whittled down to below 13,000 members. The net impact of this was the link between Gardaí and the communities they serve was severely undermined. And there's been mention of a number of stations in rural Ireland. In my own constituency on the Navan Road, the Cabra Garda station was closed. There's been a number of gangland shootings in that area in the last number of months, and people fear that with the reduction in hours in that station that their quality of policing has been undermined over the last number of years. And another issue that I had in the previous government was that we all had local press releases coming out from Labour and Fine Gael ministers and TDs heralding the purchasing of Garda cars. We all heard about the Garda cars that were purchased, but there was no Gardaí to put in the cars, and they were sitting in their stations despite the apparent capital investment. And I welcome the fact that the government reopened Templemore, but it was too late, and it's important that we intensify recruitment. More Garda vehicles should be equipped with automatic number plate recognition systems to crack down on illegal drivers. So far, only 100 cars have been equipped with this state-of-the-art equipment, which has been used to great effect in the UK and elsewhere. I was concerned by the Minister's speech in relation to, there wasn't any mention of the graduate pay and the various terms and conditions for Garda, and that's been something that the AGSI and others have mentioned. And I think it's important that with the Public Service Pay Commission that we reward Gardaí and we incentivise people in our communities to join the Gardaí, and that we actually make the work pay, which is a job that's very much at risk in every day in their lives.
Okay. You're coming to
Prevention
the end of your
needs
time,
to be. I'm going to conclude now. Prevention needs to be the fore in our fight against crime, and this happens in the community. Tackling reoffending rates should be a top priority in this regard. But the system also needs to allow for restorative justice to the victim and the community when a crime is committed. The fight against crime is eminently winnable if the will, the resources, and the determination is there. Thanks, Chair.